We are introduced to a completely frozen world, with people freezing, and our protagonist appears walking on the ice, and suddenly an earthquake occurs, and the ice where the protagonist was standing breaks. As the protagonist falls, he pulls out a stick, a hook, and clings to the wall and slides down, the protagonist already happy for not having died in the fall. Looking ahead, he sees a three-eyed monster staring at him. It was a snow monster that appeared at the beginning of the apocalypse. Our protagonist immediately starts running away from the monster, when suddenly a part of the ice breaks and falls right on the monster's head, sending it flying into the sky instantly. The protagonist didn't even have a chance to feel relieved when the ceiling breaks and more snow buries him alive. And that's when the hack begins. A kind of transparent, glowing slug appears and enters the protagonist's body, and he wakes up with a glowing eye. As I said, the hack activated. Wondering what happened, the protagonist spots a piece of chocolate that he decides to take to someone. When the protagonist arrives home, a woman opens the door for him and jumps to hug him. She calls him dear and says welcome, making him blush immediately. The protagonist takes out the chocolate he found, but his wife already makes a face and asks if it was just one. The protagonist says yes, but she still thanks him and makes a disappointed face. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door and the protagonist goes to open it, only to get hit in the face and sent flying. A man enters, hugging the protagonist's wife, and he immediately asks her why she did that. She says she did it because she only stays with strong men. The man approaches the protagonist and asks where the food is. The protagonist says he doesn't know about any food. The man grabs the protagonist and starts beating him, breaking his arms, legs, and face. Everyone starts hitting the protagonist, and once he's completely broken, the man takes a knife and finishes him off. Our protagonist wakes up at work with only 28 hours left until the apocalypse happens. People are shocked because an aurora has appeared, signaling the coming ice age. Suddenly, the protagonist's girlfriend, who cheated on him in the future, calls him. He answers and tells her that they have broken up, and she should not call again. The protagonist then declares that this time no woman will interfere with him. With only 1 hour left, the protagonist decides to gather supplies, but 2 police officers appear and stop him, asking him to empty his backpack. The rookie officer thinks it is a weapon and decides to shoot the protagonist. This is when the protagonist's hack activates, allowing him to see the bullet moving very slowly and dodge it. He calls the officer an idiot and says he is a taxpayer. He continues dodging bullets until he reaches the rookie officer, punches him, sending him flying, and scares the other officer. After hitting the police officer, the protagonist runs home, wondering if what just happened was real. He holds the gun he stole from the officer and tries to shoot at the mirror. His hack activates again, and he manages to run and catch the bullet, comparing himself to a supersonic plane. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door. It's an old lady who says she heard gunshots. The protagonist makes up an excuse, saying it was the sound of the TV. The old lady mentions that a supermarket was robbed due to insufficient security and that she was worried. The protagonist decides to go to the supermarket to get supplies. After that, the store is robbed, and we see the first winter monster arriving at the store. When the robbers notice, it is a monster with several mouths and 3 eyes on its chest. The robbers start shooting at the monster and realize that it doesn't feel anything. The monster grabs one of the robbers and rips off his upper half, saying the taste is terrible. The woman at the counter starts filming and shows everyone, but the government cuts off her transmission.